Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, make sure you check out the Potown store. You can get yourself a 5% discount on your orders using the code OmniPoke. For today's video, we are looking at ABilityZard. It's kind of one of these archetypes that hasn't changed a huge amount. There are some cool attackers that you could be playing in Sword and Shield, but from my testing, the only things I've added are the new Vulpix and 4 Quick Balls. Quick Ball's going into basically every deck, because it's an insane card. So why look at ABilityZard now? Well, Ninetales is really good Gust, and we've seen formats previously where Gusting got worse. Remember Rotation for Worlds, for example? And Ninetales, being the best Gust in the game, was able to go pretty far in that tournament. And it's happened again, basically, where V Pokemon have come out. We now have to revert to things like Coin Flip Pokemon Catcher or Customs. Sometimes those are pretty rough, so having access to the best Gust in the game is really important. I think it's super important for specifically a couple decks that have come out of this set. There's of course ADP Zacian. Being able to Gust up Zacians and knock them out quite proactively is obviously very good for you. And of course there are new Zacian Cincino control decks out there, which is amazing to have such a good matchup against. When you have such good Gust, you can really punish their Zacian usage, you can knock out their Cincinos and ruin their draw engine a lot of the time. And of course you have Victini Prism Star to infinity back a bunch of cards into your deck, because we play so many fire energies. So that matchup is relatively okay, as long as some key pieces don't get milled by the opponent. So that's some pretty big bragging rights for ABilityZard. I think at the same time, it was always fairly okay against Mewtwo decks. It's been fairly okay against Pikarom in the past, so I don't see a reason why this archetype can't still be one of the top contenders, and I have been doing pretty well with it on ladder. I went on a nice 10 win streak on a stream a couple nights ago, and I thought, yeah, ABilityZard is back in a good spot in many ways. So let's look at the 60, talk about the list itself, and then I'll also talk about a bunch of additions that you can play in ABilityZard, especially some new attackers from Sword and Shield. For the Pokemon then, we'll start off with 4 copies of Jirachi, Stellar Wishing towards Hearths, Flint, Welder, all those sorts of good things, Ball Search cards for Dedenne outs, because we have plenty of those in the deck as well. Speaking of which, we play 3 copies. Dedenne Change is super important. When our only draw support is via Welder, we've got to use Dedenne Change to get us a whole new handle at the time. We then have a 2-2 line of one of the biggest selling points of the deck in 9 Temptations from Ninetales. Discard 2 fires, bring up something from the opponent's bench. It's really epic means of gusting. Pretty much the best and most flexible that we have in the game right now, so still a big benefit to this deck. For the attackers, I'm just having 4 in the sort of toolbox of attackers. I've got up to a 2nd copy of Reshiram once again in this list. Oftentimes you will see 1 copy, 1 low puff in previous renditions, but with the new Turn 1 rule changes, I feel like having a Reshiram as a 2 count is a lot more reasonable. Because Flare Strike is just a decent turn 2 attack. If you spend your first turn attaching to this guy, you can then Welder attach and be in Flare Strike range, which is still a very decent number for denting tag teams, or at the very least, knocking out, you know, some 2-prize Pokemon or 1 prizes. So yeah, Flare Strike is still a very decent attack. Double Blaze GX is also still super solid. For 3 fire, you can do 200, which is again insane pressure. Or you can go to 6 fire energies and do 300 damage and also get through effects. This could be good for any lingering Keldeo GXs around. It's also very good for Obstagoon, don't forget. So this Double Blaze GX attack still gets a lot of value and is great at knocking out tag teams at the same time. Outrage is always something that's there. Sometimes you can Flare Strike, then someone hits you, and suddenly you can start using your Welders on bench Pokemon, setting up for things like Heatran and Turtonator later on, because Outrage will get the job done from that point on. So that's always very good for you as well. Speaking of Heatran, it's a fantastic GX Pokemon to play in this deck. You have that Burning Road that can steal a bunch of energies for himself, so you can start getting Steaming Stomp on the go for 3 fire, well, 3 energies. You can do 130, and then you have that Hot Burn that does 50 times the amount of fire attached to this guy. So similar to Reshiram's GX attack, where 6 energy equals 300. Heatran can do that for himself as a 2-prizer, which is not bad at all. And of course, he makes early bad hands a lot better. You can end up weldering to things like Jirachis or Vulpixes that you just happen to start, just to get yourself some draw going, knowing that later on you can just Cherish Ball out Heatran, get him into play, Burning Road his energies, and suddenly you're threatening big attackers. So this Heatran-GX certainly a decent attack. Well, a decent couple of attacks and an ability that protects us from ugly hands that this deck can sometimes suffer. We also have a couple one prizes. The first is Turtonator. Explosive Jet does that same multiplier as Heatran's Hot Burn. This time you're discarding fires from anywhere on your board, but it's a nice non-GX sort of uptrade kind of card. If you're up against archetypes that don't find it easy to knock out Reshiram, you can easily go from Flare Striking into a switch into a Turtonator play, and suddenly Explosive Jet is taking huge knockouts. So yeah, Turtonator is a very solid card overall. We then have the Victini Prism, still a crazy, crazy good card. Infinity does 20 times you have basic energy in your discard pile, and you shuffle them all back into your deck. It's a great reload to make sure Ninetales is live on those later turns to gust up some easy prizes. But it's also a great way of just getting through whatever's in the active. You can easily have things like 14 or so energies in your bin. That's enough to knock out tag teams. You can just go and finish off games with Infinity. Kind of a mini quest going on with this deck whenever you play it, is that you're trying to get a bunch of energies into play, but also a bunch in the bin so that this Victini can sweep, basically. That's the idea. Onto the items now. I've tried to go like quite simplistic, almost back to basics with this list by adding in the acrobikes and stuff again, so we'll talk about why I have those additions right now. First of all, quick mention to Pal Pad. It now says up to 2 supporters. You will basically always choose 2 welders, but Pal Pad has had a mini upgrade from the Sword and Shield expansion. You can still play the old ones, they've been errated basically. But in this list, you almost always pick the 2 welders. We have 1 copy of Fiery Flint as well as 2 copies of Giant Hearth. Flint obviously gets around Swell and is slightly more aggressive at getting fires out of the deck for some nice deck thinning, making Welder live, Ninetales live, all that good stuff. We then have a bunch of Ball Search. We have 2 comms, which alongside the 2 physical copies of Ninetales are the only way that we can access this card. But, you know, we have acrobikes, we have Stellar-Wish. You have a decent amount of outs to try and find this card. Don't worry about it too much. We have a couple copies of Cherish, as well as 4 Quick Balls, which gets us, again, some nice fire discard synergy going on, which is never bad, but just great access to our Pokemon in general. Lots of outs to early Dedenne, lots of outs to early attackers. Getting Vulpix down a lot earlier is way more common now compared to just having like 4 comm. So yeah, Quick Ball is great for all those sorts of reasons. We have 3 Acrobike. Again, I like the simplicity of this 60. I want Victini to be live as quickly as possible. I want to have better dig potential. If I'm going first, I want Acrobikes to get me out of brick hands as well. So I think these Acrobikes, especially with the turn 1 rule changes, are more valuable in the deck once again. We have 4 copies of Switch, as well as 2 copies of Escape Board to synergize with our Jirachi for the most part, but also we have some chunky retreaters in the Zard, the Turtle, the Heatran. Pivoting these is never a bad deal. The stadiums, half can just spin the deck of fire energies to make them live with Welder or Ninetales or whatever else. We have Heat Factory, which can dump a fire and draw 3, which again goes to our mini goal of Victini whilst also drawing us cards, which is nuts. 4 Welder is the lifeblood of the deck. It's the acceleration that makes all these attacks usable, basically, which is really good. And then we have the boards, again, for Jirachi, and the 18 fire, a super high count, so that Ninetales is live a bunch of the time, but also so that we have that Victini Prism ready to rumble. On to some Pokemon now that we could be playing. Let's start off with some new attackers from this set. Victini V is a very interesting one. You have that Spreading Flames attack that for 1 colorless allows you to attach 3 fire from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way that you like. It's really not that hard to expect to have 3 fires in your discard pile, even turn 1. Just because of the amount you see in those opening turns and the amount of times you will Dedenne change or Acrobike or Hearth or Quick Ball those away. Spreading Flames can be a nice way to get a bunch of energies rolling early. It kind of reminds me of like a mini Nitro tank, which is really cool. And then you also have Energy Burst. You do 30 times the amount of energy attached to both active Pokemon. And again, you're a nice 2-prize fire attacker that you could consider in this list. Because you're a 2 energy attacker as well, it puts a bit of leniency on the use of Welder. Sometimes you can put this on your bench, Welder to an active thing, attach for turn on to a Victini, knowing that at any point if you whiff a Welder, you can then just attach a 2nd energy and start swinging with this guy and doing decent numbers. This rarely hits like 1-hit KOs unless your opponent is going crazy on attachments. That's the reason why I don't have it in the list, but it's certainly one you could consider. Another one you could consider from the sets, I've spelled it wrong, Torkoal V. Again, it's not really phenomenal in damage output, which is the reason why I don't have it in here, but there are some benefits to this card for sure. Combustion Pillar could potentially do 180 for 3, which is pretty efficient to be fair. And if you play the new Oranguru from Sword and Shield, you could certainly try and make that more consistent. And you have that Steam Crush attack that does 120 and discards 2 energy from the opponent's active. That's actually pretty painful, you know. There are certain archetypes that will not appreciate that -2. It's not quite as powerful as taking a big 1-hit KO, but it's still good for anti-tempo if you really want to play Torkoal. A previous attacker that you've seen in the list is Megalopuff. I feel now that we're in an era where there's a mix and match of V and GX Pokemon, it shouldn't be too difficult for your opponent to play around Jumping Balloon a lot of the time. I think this can still put a shift in against Mewtwo and Pikarom, so if you're expecting those to be the two best decks in the format, you could consider adding this back in. At the moment, I like the simplicity of the lists. Like I said, I'm a little bit sketched out. You know, I've played ABilityZard in 2 regionals this season, and I know sometimes the hands can be bad, so I've gone as simple as possible with this 60 and not gone crazy with tech Pokemon. But if you want to try out some different techs, you do have some good versatility there. Volk, also similar to the Victini, especially if you choose to go second with this deck. You can obviously have the benefit of Welder getting you a bunch of energy, but also the Flare Starter can then become much more live. We have Quick Ball, which makes this a better, like 1 or 2 of in the 60, because it's more accessible to actually get use out of Flare Starter, especially because we have such a high switch count anyway. Naturally, you can get him into play and active quite quickly, so you can get a bunch of energies rolling, which is really nice. It can defend you against missing Welder, but also it can go, in addition to Welder, quite nicely as well to have Turtonator, Heatran, or Reshiram all threatening huge attacks, which is cool. And let's not forget that High Heat Blast can do 110, which is enough to knock out Zacians thanks to weakness, so this can also be a nice 1 prize uptrade card if you really want to, or at least even if you're against the ADP lists. So yeah, those are some decent attackers. Oh, one other card I want to mention is Mew. This has been in and out of ABilityZard 60s for a while. Having that bench barrier is nice against things like Mewtwo and Pikarom again. But I feel if you're running well on Welders, you should be able to one-shot them before they have access to things like Tag Bolt at the very least. Yes, Mewtwo can sometimes go for like Naga Snipes, but oftentimes they have to deal with whatever's in front of them because you're bearing down such big pressure. If they're not knocking out things like 6 energy Zards, then Turtonator can punish them. So yeah, it feels like oftentimes when playing the matchup, it's just more important to commit spaces to things like Acrobike, like I keep saying, so that we're more consistent at getting the plan A rolling. That's pretty much the idea. So yeah, that is the 60 that we are rocking with. Let's go into the ladder and get some games in. I enjoyed playing this on the ladder the other day. You can go back onto twitch.tv/Team OmniPoke if you want to see some previous gameplay with this deck. But yeah, we're benefiting from the new ladder, really. Sometimes unrefined lists, of course. We know that this 60 is tried and trusted. It's won some ICs in its time. So yeah, it's not really a bad call, I think, for a sort of undeveloped meta, because we are so streamlined and we have a very simple game plan. Get energy into play, smash. It's a really simple goal. One great thing about Heat Factory is it's even better when you can't use supporters. It's super good for us. I could Flint before the Stellar Wish here. Gives me way better odds to find stuff, but what would I discard here? I'd have to discard like Fire and Jirachi or Fire and Switch. Getting rid of Fire and Switch is punishable by Absol. And yeah, it means I couldn't get the second Stellar Wish in. Yeah, so instead we'll just do this. We can take an Acrobite quite happily here. We saw a bunch of fires in that Stellar Wish, by the way. Hearth is actually pretty... Oh no, we don't need Hearth. We have Flint in hand. It's fine, it's fine. We'll keep biking. You can see the power of the Acros already. Now, do I want a better attacker to attach to than a Heatran? Or do I want to have the option to change this Jirachi into a Dedenne next turn? That's another option. Probably don't want a Dedenne when I have double Welder and Flint. Do I want to get a turn 1 Vulpix down? We don't really know what we're up against, but Vulpix is never a bad idea to get down as early as possible. If I just hold this hand attached to the Heatran, I actually don't even need to attach to the Heatran. I can just attach to this Jirachi, board it, and then Stellar Wish with this. So if we're going that route, I probably want to keep the fire so I can get extra factory value next turn. Yeah, let's go with that. So we can board up, we can retreat, we can... Now I could Flint more fires away if I really wanted to. Yeah, let's do that. We do have Ninetales, we have that. All of our Welders are here. How many Jirachis we got? 2. Okay, let's thin our deck of a bunch of fire. Let's wish. We have the switch already in hand, so we can take a quick here. Now I feel pretty content getting a Vulpix down. I don't see a reason why not to here. Pretty ideal turn 1, to be honest. Pretty ideal turn 1. We can swing the energy there because we have Heatran in hand. It's not a problem. And we'll get a bit more info on what we are up against now. But next turn we have Welder, potential Heat Factory, potential Double Wish. Oh yes, we're up against a Zacian ADP deck by the looks of things. They are still playing Keldeo. But putting that Vulpix down is certainly extra value, because as soon as we can bring up that Zacian, the better. Let's see what else they got going on here. They do have a Quick Ball on their own end. Getting rid of their Sinlin. There's an ADP. And a Prof's Research for a fresh hand. Getting rid of the metal, so they're not content attaching to ADP. They do get source of value. Risked missing the attachment, but found the water. Pretty pog. There's the Escape Board. Any stadium removal, or am I going to get some free draws? I'm going to board up. Are they going to get another Stellar Wish in? Seems decent. They can get Tag Call. And they're going to quickly play this to thin some cards out of their deck. Goes Hala for next turn, seems decent. Malolana as well. And it's probably over to us. Yep, just Intrepid Sorting. They do get an energy. So the sooner we find Ninetales, certainly the better. We can start with the Welder onto bench Jirachi if we want to. Basically commits me to Heatran, but I think Heatran's certainly the best because I can knock out the active or the Zacian if we're able to gust that up. And then I'm threatening a hot burn because he's probably just going to alter creation next turn. So we'll start with this. Turtonator is not the worst here. I want to play Heat Factory. Let's Quick Ball. Stellar Wish. Com is pretty good. We're not ready for the Ninetales just yet though, so maybe I should dig deeper. Hearth is excellent. I can Hearthway Turtle if I want to, or I can Hearthway this Escape Board if I want to as well. I can probably get rid of the Escape Board. Let's get some fires. Now we're definitely looking for Com. There's only one in the deck now. But that would be the ideal target. We hit more switches, which I don't necessarily need. I think I just take a Quick Ball for a backup Dedenne. So let's take this. Let's put down this guy. I think I also want to put down Zard just to get the attachment on him, because if I take the one prize with the Heatran now, then he could Zacian attack me essentially, so then I have Flare Strike to check that, and it basically stops him from using Zacian, because I could go Flare Strike into Double Blaze onto his ADP to just win, so we will just retreat out, steal some energy for ourselves, get the energy down, and just stomp this guy. So yeah, he's pretty much put in check here by we're threatening Hotburn GX on his ADP. If he wants to come in and Zacian, take 2 prizes, we're then threatening Flare Strike on the Zacian, which would then be Flare Strike into knockout ADP. So, pretty decent. We've thinned a bunch of fires out of the deck as well, a bunch of cards out of the deck. We're only at 18 left. And that's all without using a Dedenne, which is pretty sweet. Acrobite's very good at deck thinning. I'm going to start by hearthing away a Metal Energy by the looks of things. Just have a quick look through their deck. And obviously make Source alive. Our hand right now is really robust as well. If he doesn't hand disrupt us, we've got a lot of good stuff going on. Okay, they're going to go Guz Hala here. So them getting rid of their Metal Energy is probably not the best of ideas. They could have done it for free with this. Guz Hala. They're going to bin another Research and an Aurora Energy. They're going to take a Shrine and an Aurora. That Shrine tick definitely going to be important on the Zard at some point down the line. Also denying our Giant Hearth is good. That's all 3 stadiums gone for us. Let me see a Wish from them. Gonna grab a Saucer. So I wonder if they will play aggressive here, if they'll try and just go Zacian knockout. It feels like we checkmate him quite easily if he does go this route. Yeah, he's just gonna attach to ADP instead. Oh, oh, okay. I think this is super good for us. I think this is really good for us, yeah. Not GX attacking with an ADP deck is pretty good for us. So we currently don't have the Fire Energy. That's the only thing we're lacking. Do I want to Stellar Wish to have a better chance at hitting Fire Energy off the 3 cards of Welder? Yes, because there's nothing actually I want to have here. Now, do I get rid of Vulpix is the next question. No, I can get rid of Turtonator. Do I want to just put this down? No, it's just a discardable card, right? That's all it is. Alright, we hit Fire Energy. Nice, nice. We have 2 Welders in our hand. The only thing we're lacking is, again, Fire Energies. Unfortunately, we can't Stellar Wish for any Fire Energies because we've got rid of both Hearths and Flint. It's actually really bad that we drew the 4th Welder. Ah, good prizes though. Great prizes. So his only energies are attached to ADP. If he wants to do some Saucer things, he's out of range of Zacian currently. He is just going to Aurora to ADP. Does he have a stamp? Feels like he kind of needs to stamp us here. Is he a Stellar Wish? grab a Quick Ball. Possibly getting Absol is also good for them here if they can Absol us. Give us some less outs. Just gonna grab an Oranguru. Not quite as disruptive. Might give me an extra chance to find a Marnie or a Stamp though. Let's see if they can disrupt us. Yep, it's going to be a Marnie. So, Marnied out of the Welder. Not necessarily for game, because we didn't have the Ninetales right now, but... Alright, they're just coming on in. Come on in, the water's fine. And say, this Marnie better protect me. Basically. We got a Dedenne, and we just need to hit one of our 2 Welders, and we have 3 switches for our Jirachis to help us get there. Doesn't matter, right? We got a dig. They have to be our 2 of our bottom 3 cards. Okay. There we go, nice. Nice winning against ABilityZard. I feel like he had a better game plan if he had just let the Heatran stick. It's kind of risky though. Like, I feel like ABilityZard, if they do hit their Welders, it's so hard to play against if you're at ABilityZation. Because their stuff is just so vulnerable to your stuff. That's basically it, right? We're up against 60 cards _ net. Don't know who plays the 60 cards account. They're debating whether or not they want to go first here. And they are going to choose to go first. Okay. Hand is looking pretty decent, to be honest. And they kick off with a Jirachi, just like us. And they're going to go for attack call. And it's... guess who? ABilityZard. What a twist. Quick Ball getting grabbed. So they can get a Zacian and an ADP down if they want to. It means they can get Intrepid Sword. Can they get an attachment to the ADP? Here's the next question. There's Zacian. There's ADP, there's the attachment, and there's the Intrepid Sword. Pretty simple turn. Standard ABilityZard things, you know. Alright. Well, hitting Welder is certainly not bad. Let's start with the bicycle. I will go for this Heat Factory, even though I have Welder, I believe. I really want a Welder for 2. Am I meant to Stellar-Wish for a different stadium here? / Flint. I don't really want to commit my ball search just yet, so I'll start with the Wish, I think. Switch is fine. I think now we're going for Heat Factory. Welder for 1 just really doesn't do much for us. I really don't want to hot burn into a 1-prizer. No fires. Okay. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and do this. We have prized a welder as well, which isn't great. Let's go ahead and wish. We can't take either of these, unfortunately. Now then, the question becomes, do I want to put the Heatran down for potential tempo? Or do I want to turn something into a Zard here? And just say that we can't knock out this Jirachi, but I can be pressuring other stuff. I think I want to protect this. And we want to get a Zard down. And try our arm at a different welder here. Like, the welder for 1 wasn't value, so let's try and welder for more instead. Looks like it's a miss right now, which isn't ideal. We've got to keep this board space open for Dedennes. I can play proactively if I want to. It's bad against Marnie, I guess. Yeah, we'll just pass. Alright, so they're probably just going to GX here. To keep up in tempo, next turn we probably need to Flare Strike his Zacian. We're already a little behind from a missed welder. That's the way it goes sometimes. You'd think with 18 energies wouldn't be a problem, but sometimes it can be. They got Vit banned, but they also went and got Shrine, so they're gonna Shrine tick the Zard and put it in range of Zacian. Oh, they picked multiple Shrine, they picked 2. And here comes the surprise GX attack. Very twisty. Alright, let's go ahead and grab Dedenne. We can also thin these other cards, because we don't really need them. We can get a Wish in now. I think Hearth is our best thing. Which is good. It's going to make Welder more live on the other end of this Dedenne. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this. We can acro. Really got to find that welder. Or we can Pal Pad back in a welder, which is going to help our cause. Alright, so if we can find a Ninetales, we're still in pretty decent shape. If we can't find Ninetales, it's gonna be a little rough. Because we do not want to have to hit into this ADP. But yeah, looks like we're gonna have to hit into ADP. Not ideal at all. Not ideal at all. You've seen how well it can go as long as you do hit those welders, but when you miss the turn 1 welder, sometimes that can be enough to just lose you a game against a deck like ADP Zacian. They just keep you so honest, because their game plan is so simple. Let's see if they can get themselves some Saucer value. I think that's the only good thing for us right now, is I don't see any metals in their discard pile just yet. That might be our saving grace, so he can't Saucer, attach, switch, smack. You know, that could be pretty rough. We have given him Giant Hearth, which is a discard card for metal energies. But Don't really know what his hand's shaping up like. He has customs, so he could custom up Vulpix for 2 prizes. Oh, custom Dedenne for 3 instead. Okay. I'm not sure if I like him doing this custom. I guess it means he wins off of Great Catcher. As well as customs, which I guess is fair. But I think dealing with the Vulpix here is a little bit stronger for him, because then it makes me go through this ADP, and then he has the Zacian pressure guaranteed on the bench. So I think the Vulpix is actually a better target there, because it checkmates me a little bit better, because Zacian's protected in the back with 3 energies on it after an Ultimate Ray. So I think this keeps us still in the game, actually. So I think maybe a misstep from our opponent. That's my personal opinion on it. But let's face it, their hand is big, and they're in not the worst of shapes. Alright, let's go for this Wish. I think I want to keep the Shrine in play. I think the only way I win is if I let this tick out and die while I gust around to the stuff. We can put this down, welder to it. No Ninetales. Right at the bottom of the deck, both of them. Which is a shame. So we can go for the teeny knockouts. Take 3 prizes, and then we're threatening the 3 prize knockout here for next turn. So it's not the worst, but we can lose to Gust quite easily here. We even lose to Fion, right? I should play this as well. And now I should get rid of this. It doesn't change much, actually. It's better off of Marnie. That's the only real reason to put it in now. Alright, let's do this. So, can he Gust us? 2 customs played. Haven't seen any sign of Fion just yet. And he still has a really big hand size. No Great Catcher played yet either. So in theory, he's pretty good here. That's an Oranguru, which isn't a Fion, which is good news. I see the Wisdom. More Jirachis and a bigger research. So it's probably a big dig for customs. Stellar Wish gets even deeper. And that's going to be the custom. Cool. Alright. Well, I feel like we had a bad rub of the green that game. Like, Tails on bottom 8 was really bad. We could have pressurized him in a lot of different ways there. And missed the turn 1 Welder, of course, as well, you know. We'll get another game in, though. I feel like you are still favoured against ABilityZard. I think that's the first time I've actually lost to it as ABilityZard. And I think I've played it like 6 times on ladder, something like that. So, I mean, it's not a huge sample size, but I feel like you're pretty favoured as the red stuff. I also think his customs were really wrong. He should have custom Vulpix every time, and then he has checkmate on board, basically. But instead, he had to go fishing and do it the harder way, but it is how it is, I guess. Alright, I still like going first with this deck. I know it's slightly controversial that you're a Welder deck not able to use Welder on 1, but sometimes just energy attachment is good enough. Unfortunately, we've not started a tanky Pokemon, and we don't have any Ball Search, even though we play, what, 8? No, more than 8. Yeah, 8. We play 8 Ball Search cards. So that's a bit of a shame. We're up against a Mew, but, you know, a lot of things can kill a Vulpix on 1. There's a debate to putting down a Dedenne for no effect here, just to get an attachment in. It's pretty risky. Because it eats up a board space. But I do not want to get rid of a free Welder. There's also a Ninetales in the hand. I think it's bench Dedenne, attached to Dedenne, and pass. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit the old no button here. And we're going to pass. Those people who said I should have gone second, pat yourselves on the back. Looks like we're up against Baby Blounds. Okay, so they're weldering to draw some cards themselves here. They grab a Jirachi now, they can start Stellar Wishing into. They're going to grab a Quick Ball. They're going to grab their Blown. They still have manual attachments they can put on that guy if they want to. They're going to slap a Lucky Egg on straight away. Slap an Energy on as well. So we can Flame Tail the active if we want to. Next turn. Using one prizes against Baby Blounds is really good actually, so. Okay, we're gonna hearth away this Com. And I think quick balling out something like Heatran might be our best move. Or do I just try and go as one prizey as possible for as long as possible and then just try and weave in the Zard late game? That's always a plan too. Yeah, let's take the Turt. We'll go boop, bop, bam. We have given them Giant Hearth, which is kind of scary, but I don't think I need to quick ball anything else out here. We can just go for the Flame Tail. They are promoting Blown, which is not something I wanted to see. Especially when we don't have Welder in our hand currently. They can go ahead and half. Ah, manual attachment is not a Welder. Very good. And they also Lucky Egg the Mew, which is actually quite a smart move when we've got Ninetales up and rolling. And they're just going to Blazer us for 10. Alright, well I think getting Heatran out now seems like value. I don't think we need this Flint right now. It's drawing him a few cards, but getting rid of a 2-energy Blacephalon is still pretty reasonable, so. Let's yoink some energies for ourselves. Pop an energy down here. Stomp. Now that he's Lucky Egged the Mew, he can't just Escape Board it either, which hurts some of his outs to actually response attack us. So they can continue to Hearth here, thinning the deck of fires. 6 in the bin now. There's a Blown. They do have Welder, so now things are getting pretty hairy. If they can find a switch card for their Mew, at least. There's an Oricorio, which is a 2-prizer, which we love to see. Trying to level the odds here. They now have a big 10-card hand, which is pretty cool. Gonna grab himself another Blown. All the Blowns. And what else have they got? It's the switching outs that they might be struggling with right now. Eight in hand, they might be considering how they can lower their hand to get lucky egg value. They're just going to attach to the Mew. Psi Power. Yep, those damage counters all make sense. Puts them all one attachment closer, or one less attachment for Fireball Circus. It all makes sense. Alright, so I could Hot Burn GX the Oricorio, or I could kill a Blown. Blown is probably the most tempting. It does give him an extra 3 cards, but they've played 2 Welders now already. Giving him 3 more draws. 3 more draws, but I sacrifice another attachment. Let's see what these Acrobites give us first of all, actually. Let's make some educated decisions rather than some guesstimates. Alright, so those Acrobites haven't got us towards much outside of the guaranteed Stellar Wish after Heatran dies. So I guess denying this Oricorio is best here. Let's just keep denying the draw. His deck's still pretty fat, right? This does force me to find... Well, it puts me on a bit more pressure to find Welder next turn, but I think it's the best pressure attack we can do. Welder being prized also helps us. They still have 6 prizes to take. And now we should have a pretty easy route to victory. They're going to grab a Blown. They're going to Acrobike as well. Blown from the Ultra Space. Quick Ball going to go into the bin. They've probably drawn all their Pokemon, to be honest. Lots more Acrobites. Looks like they found something they needed because they dumped the other Acro. There is a Welder. Probably to a benched one. Oh, just one to the active. Okay. Doing it for the draw. Quick balling away Escape Board. Oh, of course, they have more Jirachis. There's the other Escape Board. There's the switch, so they want to get Stellar Wish in. They're still looking for stuff? Wow. Pretty unlucky, but yeah, now they've been able to find a crystal. I was going to say, they haven't used any crystals yet, so it shouldn't be hard for them to reach. Pal Pad is also a really nice card for them to pick up. Get those Welders back in. Blown comes back out. Time for the crystals, I imagine. There's one. There's one Fitty. And they're just going to play the one, and they have one more in hand. Okay. A retrieval is one that they take, and then a random card. Okay. Alright, let's start off with this Welder, shall we? Get the old turtle on the go. Another Welder is excellent. Acrobike is fine here as well. More Welders into the deck sounds good as well. I'm all up for that. There are the welders. We'll take a switch card. Attachment doesn't make sense anywhere but a Victini, right? It only makes sense on a Victini. It's in the deck, right? Yeah. And this should put us in really good stead to win. We did the early pressure stuffs that we needed to. They had some stumble turns. They can go ahead and Fiery Flint now. Putting off a Blown and Flint for a couple of fires. Pre-Stellar Wish by the looks of things. They can also Heat Factory. I guess the scariest thing now is like Pokemon Capture heads on a Victini. That's the only downside to putting it into play if they play Pokemon Catchers exactly as their Gust, but normally they play Great Catcher. Oh, Cramorant. Cramorant knocking out Victini, I guess, is their best play. There's the Welder. Nice, this is going to do some work. Okay. So I think this might actually beat us, you know? I think I've got rid of so many energies that this might just beat us. Putting down the Victini to play around Stamp and then getting wrecked by Cramorant is pretty wild. There's only 3 energies left in the deck, so I can't get through this Cramorant. They have played only... well, they've played 2 Switch. Oh, this is a 1 retreat cost. They've played 2 Switch and 2 board, though. So can I 2-shot this to victory? Not even 2-shot. I'd have to 3-shot it with Ninetales. I can't 3-shot it to victory. What can I do here? What can I do here? I have to... 14, 15, 16, 17. Man, I think we threw... Cramorant coming in, doing the business. Can I deck them out is the question. I can probably deck them. That's probably our best way to win. Let's try and deck them. They can't Welder and win, right? So I should have saved the attachment. That could have been a really fun play we could have done where we, like, poke... I don't know, that wouldn't work, that wouldn't work. Alright, gonna go for a Blazer knockout. That doesn't get us. Alright, we'll just pass. I don't think they can get there. Unless there's some random shuffle effect that I'm not thinking of. If they play Ordinary Rod, we're in trouble, I guess. Alright, let's deck them, I guess. Almost through, and then we realized that they had no deck left. Whew, weird game. Really worried that I threw with the Victini thing. I don't know if I should have played around a Reset Stamp in a Blounds deck. I also don't know if I should have played around a Cramorant in a Blounds deck. Oh, looks like we've got the rematch against 60 cards. The rematch. This time we get to go first, which is nice. Last time they had 2 energy on board before we had 1 energy in play. This time it'll be the other way around. They also start an ADP. Which makes me want to grab Heatran, I think. Because he might want to switch this out, and I want to Steaming Stomp him. But I would be able to Flare Strike anything anyways. Okay. Let's just take the big man. That can be a Dedenne for next turn. Alright, let's do the stuff. Welder in hand for next turn this time. Feels good, man. No Vulpix, so we can't like early pressure a Zacian. But we have a bit more time against this deck this time. Unless he has some E-switch combos. We could just try and like Flare Strike into him, then switch and hit with something else. And then keep the Zard in the back. They're going to grab Shrine straight away. They're also going to grab Rainbow. Metal to the active, benching Zacian, and gonna actually Escape Board the Zacian, and also Intrepid. Alright. I want to take the Dedenne out. I want a Welder. I want an Acro. I want none of these. Both go, right? I guess I could discard some more fires from the deck. So 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I'll just spin one more fire. 8 is a solid number to have around for Ninetales plays. I think that's solid. Oops. Get it down. currently missing Switch card, but we do have the Wish still. So we're probably gonna try and work that in. I don't have to hit him, I can obviously just GX next turn. Now then, with this in mind, I probably want to just Pal Pad and keep this active. We do know he plays Marnie, so I'll put this down. And then we'll just pass. Like, hitting him doesn't help us too much compared to hitting Welder next turn. We are going to see the Shrine come in now, and then the Marnie. Hit a bunch of quick balls. See a Salsa. And just the GX. Okay. Alright, we hit Welder for 1. We can do our little quick ball dance. Pin some excess cards. We'll just steady change. I really want to hit another Fire Energy. Very good. So let's bring that up. I guess I just put it on to play around Marnie and stamps, right? We can have a switch for next turn, so if he ultimate raise onto another Zacian, I can just switch and do it. Switch and Flare Strike again. Alright, so he's going to have to bench this, go into the Jirachi. Stellar Wishes for a quick ball. Tossing a metal for a Dedenne. Looks like they need a fresh hand. They are just going to have to settle for an attachment. Oh, coin flip catches this time. Last time they're playing customs. Oh, big heads for them. That's huge. They're going to bring up tails. And now they're going to go for Dedenne change. They hit the board. They hit the quick ball as well. They hit it all. There's Zacian. Pretty big coin flip, I'll be honest. They play coin flips and customs? Wild. They can Saucer, which has no impact here, apart from playing a card from their hand to play around stamps. Tag call. Thinning a Guz Howler. So 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 is 18. It's miles away. Alright, let's have a look, see what we got here. Turtonator's a fantastic draw. another fire. So we're going to Explosive Jet here, and again we're in that spot where the customs are going to come in. He's got 18 cards left in deck. Man, if he's got us again, I'm going to be so fuming. I mean, that's the power of ADPization, right? It is a busted deck. Huge coin flip, though. If he whiffs that coin flip, we just body him. It feels so rough winning and losing based on flips, man. You hate to see it. Okay, so maybe he has to Orangaroo, back the custom, and dig. Yeah, it's another big props research. Gonna be digging into the deck deep. Oh, here we go. Alright, well, he's got decent outs. But he missed. Very good. He should pass here. He shouldn't... Yeah. He should do this. This is way better than attacking me. This makes me do stuff. We do have 2 switches, but it's only off of Acrobike or Heat Factory. And I need to also have... Man, I need a lot here. So energy means I can Welder. And it's got to be to the bench, right? If it's only 1, it has to be the bench. Alright, we got there. Oof, too close. Too close. Well, he went even on coin flips in the end. Kind of got cheesed by that one. The thing is, like, you know how coin flips are like more impactful at sometimes than others? He had like a 4-card hand. He's basically dead completely on board outside of like some big saucer high rolls. But the coin flip on the Ninetales completely changed the complexion of the game, because not only can I... well, not only does he take 2 prizes and put himself just a Reshiram away, but also takes away my gust. That's why he should have done it in the first game, instead of going for my Dedennes, but he didn't, which kept me more in the game. But he played it better the second time and made it more difficult. Even though he lost, he played way better that second time, whoever that was. Anyways, that was ABilityZard. Yeah, I think it's still a decent deck. I think it's pretty okay against ADPization. Maybe closer than I give it credit for. Maybe I need to keep going second against it and just hitting Welders instead, powering through a bit more. That's a good thing about this format, is there's still so much more to learn. I've been proactively going first with like a lot of decks. But when we went second with this deck and missed Welder, we were just absolutely bodied, so something to bear in mind. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, guys. Let me know what you think about ABilityZard. Have you been trying any other tech Pokemon? Have you been trying any other different cards in the engine? I'll hear it all down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video tomorrow.